Let's break the mold and stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. Welcome to Stanley on 7. We're here until it's here.
Welcome back. This is Stanley on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast, a Pull Tab Sports production. I'm Ryan Carter with the wonderful co-host John King, Mr. Kinger. Hey, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the Winter Classic, but before we get to any of that good stuff, we've got to get into the game that was last night. Boston Bruins, Minnesota Wild in Boston. A lot going on there, a lot to talk about. I'm going to tee it up to you. What do you think about that game?
It was exhausting. I felt like it was a playoff series condensed into concentrate form in one game. And so I kind of want to call it the Boston Massacre because so many people got hurt.
We're finding that out, yeah.
But we won the game. That's the 4 words I take out of it.
So let's start with the good. What do you think the good parts were?
This was a game we had lost 5 in a row. We are not playing much hockey. We have these huge gaps in our schedule. So everything compounds if you don't win. And they just found a way to win. I was so happy that we won. Because at the cost we paid, or appear to have paid in that game, had we not gotten the victory, it's even 10 times worse than it might already be with all these bodies on a heap in Massachusetts General. I mean, it was stressful. I had a basement full of people, and all of us, it was one of those games where you got to like sit up at the edge of the couch or walk around. I thought it was intense. It was like playoff hockey.
Gabe, just checking. Did you get an invite to this basement full of people to watch the Wild game? No. You know what? Hold on. Let me go through my text. I didn't get one either.
It was mostly my kids' friends, but I was there.
Hey kids, anybody want some punch?
Hey. Yeah.
No, they were really
it was a hell of a hockey game.
It was fun. And the 5-on-3s, the scoring, the missed chances. No, I mean the first period had a little bit of everything too. It was fun. It was great. The good, the Wild, I don't think they played that good a game, the Winter Classic. And that's I will give them a pass on that one. I haven't played the Winter Classic, but I've been in that spot where it's really a family event, the Winter Classic, and it can be really distracting, and hockey really is put on the back burner. It's not the focal point. Yes, the whole game and the whole show is around hockey, but somehow the actual game gets put on the back burner if you're a player. You have family, you have the show, you have everything, right? So they didn't play a good game. Okay, cool. Every coach is going to say, turn the page, that one wasn't good. But I got to give the Wild credit. You know, they came out against Boston, and they looked like they were a determined hockey club. First period, they could have just packed it in. And I always found Boston to be a very tough place to play. Good team, heavy, hard. We saw it in the game. Like, they're a mean club. It's not easy to go in there and steal 2 points. The Wild, they cleaned things up defensively. They got out to a lead. The power play finally got clicking. We'll have to talk about that. That's part of the good. And then down the stretch, they were able to close it out. Like, they were tight in the third. They didn't give much up. And I heard somebody say that it was only a matter of time before Boston caught up with them. But the Wild, they didn't give much up in the third. And they played tight, and it was a good game. And you factor in that they started the game with 7D, 11 forwards, lose a good forward. Now they're down to 10 guys. And the way they just battled through, man, that was a gutsy win. And they have to be really happy with the way they rebounded from the Winter Classic to this game. That said, yeah, and maybe I should just transition right into more of the good, the beautiful babies.
Oh God, the swaddling clothes, the soft heads on top.
Like, the best part is Boldy probably doesn't have a facial hair yet, right? Like Rossi, like, these guys are beautiful babies.
You could smell it. It was like new car smell. Their families are there. A good Boston College Eagle. We are BC. They're good players, and they were playing in key situations. They were both on the ice with 3 minutes left in a third period that we got to talk a little bit more about. I love that they put them both with, I think they were both with Foligno.
Yeah.
It's like, I
think there's purpose to that, too.
That's the nursery line.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like nursery rhyme, maybe. No.
That works as long as it's not an acronym. I'm cool with it.
No, it's not an acronym.
Yeah.
But I think Moose carrying those two, he's carrying them out of the jungle like Bubba Gump. I love it, man. They were both just look like they were going to be there, and they're going to be important in the month of January if these injuries shake out the way I think they are. we're going to need a whole lot of weird stuff to happen to kind of patch our way through.
But how about, we'll have to get into this too, but our New Year's resolutions and predictions and all that stuff, we had the beautiful babies be a part of that. And boy, that came to fruition in a hurry. But
free the babies.
Free the babies. And yep. And
what timing on it, by the way?
Oh,
it needed a win. And that feeling in a locker room with these kids, that's why I bet on them last night. Because I just imagine that locker room with those two boys coming in there, and one of them's from Boston, got all the family there. They want to win. That's, they've lost 5 in a row. They want to show these guys what they're all about. It just, that is like a shot in the arm to have young guns come in. And to wait as long as we did to do it.
I like Boldy and his mentality and the way that he played. Now, I didn't talk to him, but you just watch and you see the way he moves and the way he handled the puck, and I could break down the goal. And he looked confident all the part. Love that about him. Not an easy thing for a young guy to do, come into that spot. I was concerned, and I'm almost contrarian in this belief, that the best time to bring guys like that into a lineup is actually probably when you've won 8 in a row. And coaches are superstitious, and they're like, I'm not switching it up. We got a good thing going. But that's when complacency starts to come into a game. And at that point, there's legitimately no pressure. Like, you've won 8 in a row. It's like, okay, if we lose a game, big deal. We've won 8 in a row, right? Like, we're on a heater. It doesn't matter.
And so this was the opposite.
This was the opposite. So it was all set up for these kids to, okay, here come the beautiful babies, the saviors. Let's put them out there. I even heard on public radio or sport radio, somebody say like a new generation of wild hockey. And it's like, chill out. This is one game. This is before the game. This is one hockey game. It's not a new generation. It's not like they've turned the page on everybody else. Like, it's one game. Let's relax a little bit. Let's not put up that much pressure on a couple of young kids that they're going to have to carry this organization, pick up the torch from an injured whomever, whether it's Spurgeon, all these guys out, Talbot, and then just carry it down to the trade deadline and on into the playoffs. Like, that's not the role that you want to put them in. But by necessity, they had to, and they responded.
And that game, I mean, it was like the Rumble at the end of Outsiders. It was a pipe fight. I mean, you can imagine that's your first experience. There was a moment when Boldy was retrieving the puck late in the game, and he seemed to avoid a bunch of absolute killer hits, because the attrition playing Boston, and I think it's something to talk about for the playoffs for this team, because in a 7-game series against that black curtain of a whatever that was last night, it was like, bring out your dead. There was just wheelbarrows with wild guys just getting thrown on them, and they were going down the street. And I'm looking at Dumba, and even, do you see Dumba and Coyle in front of the net? The stuff that was going on with those two the last minute. Yeah. I mean, that's a game where on the plane ride home or the locker room after, it had to just be dead silent, even though they won. Just every single ounce was left on the ice last night, which is pretty awesome. That's why it wasn't the Boston Massacre.
But again, that's where that's the Wild's identity. That's what they have to do to be good and to win. And I think it's very hard during the dog days of the season to bring forth that kind of effort. It's hard. It's freezing cold outside. Like, you're to the rink, and it's much more challenging when it's minus 10 degrees out and you just got done with the Winter Classic versus playing a team like Anaheim, who's still wearing shorts to the rink every day, right? Like, mentally, it's tough to do that. And I had a theory back in like 2006 to 2014, these Sunbelt states were winning the Cup because it wasn't so hard on these guys mentally to have to bring that element to their game. But give the Wild credit, and Dean Evason, man, they brought it. They found it. I don't know what fire he lit, but again, I want to give Dean Evason some more credit. I don't think it's an accident that Marcus Foligno was playing on the nursery line with those guys. And I know circumstances had the lineup depleted and other things, but I recall my first pro game in Portland. This is a regular season game. I'd played exhibition games, and I had Trevor Gillies, if you remember who that is. Yep. He's a tough dude. And Sean Thornton, another tough dude.
Nice. Left
and right. And they look at me, and I was a rookie, and they said, hey, kid, just go out and literally do whatever you want, because I want to see if anybody will say a word to you. I was like, what does that mean? Like, the first couple shifts, I just absolutely bulldozed the goaltender. And nobody says a word to me. I skate right past their bench. Nobody looks at me. Nothing. Right back to my bench. And the two guys I'm playing with, they don't say anything either. They just know, right? My point is, you've got these young guys, and Marco Rossi, if you look at some of the clips of him in Iowa and even in exhibition, he took some big hits. And I think that's a big difference from him coming the European game, the big ice, and an 18-year-old game to this is the NHL now. And how can we intimidate you? How can we scare you? You're 18. We're going to hit you. We're going to hit you hard. Well, you put Marcus Foligno out there and somebody that steps up and says, you touch him, you're going to have to pay. I'll touch you, and you're going to hurt. And he did that. And I like Evason, give him a lot of credit for that. I don't think that was an accident.
No, and we got to talk about 97 going down as well. That was just right when I saw it. It was like, no. Can't. That's not. No. And then it was. He's not going to walk down the tunnel. He's not going down to the tunnel. He's just going to go to the bench. Then the announcers, Kirill Kaprizov has gone to the locker room. Shit, that's a significant deal. I mean, just watching that third period last night, it was like we were hanging on the edge of a skyscraper for 20 minutes. Guys blocking shots, doing everything they can to get the W, which they did. But it did seem different when he was gone.
Yeah, it didn't. I think anytime you lose your best player, not to mention you add up the other circumstances they're facing, short guys with COVID, short some other big components. I mean, if you look at the top 5 most important players on the Wild, it's probably Talbot, Spurgeon, Brodin, Eriksson, Ek, and Kaprizov.
Boom.
They're missing all of them.
Yeah.
So you lose like you're maybe like Kaprizov, your final one. That's like the death blow, the dagger, where maybe it would suck the wind right out of your sail, and you're like, we're just up against it. But they didn't. They battled back and they played hard and they found a way to win it, close it out down the stretch. I know nobody's going to like to hear this, but I do think the Frederic hit maybe a little bit dirty. I don't think that there isn't room for it in the NHL. I think that it's purposeful. And when playoffs and that type of hockey come around, those plays, they happen and they happen on purpose. And I don't know that Frederic did it on purpose. I think he was trying to be an agitator last night. And sometimes you cross the line. That line is very, it's not very clear, right? So, but with that said, I believe I've said this before, and it's the stance I take, that's the new competitive advantage in hockey is going to be size and that physicality and that intimidation, because there are a lot of young kids that come in, and these beautiful babies, they need somebody to protect them. And that guy isn't necessarily there anymore. There is no more the boogeyman. You know what used to happen to a guy like Frederic when he would make a hit like that against a star player?
His orbital bone would be shattered into a bunch of pieces.
Yeah, and regardless of how many fights it took, right? Like you'd have to go through, Marcus Foligno would be the first step. And then you'd answer to the next guy, the heavyweight, the boogeyman, right?
Yep.
And those guys were in the lineup, and they were in the lineup for that very purpose. Now you want those guys out of the game because you want 4 lines to score, but clubs still want to be physical. They still want to intimidate. So they use guys like Frederic to do that. Well, there's no answer now for that. And I think people want the league to come down with the rule book and say, boom, give them 5 games, give them 10 games, hit them in the pocketbook, $50,000, that'll get that out of the game. Well, until the league decides that, which the players have to agree to in terms of a rule change, right? That's never going to happen. The way to do it is to put a tougher guy in there and scare that guy out of doing it. And I know people don't love that, but that's the way it is. And I think it's still legal for Frederic to make that play. Now, this one's unique because it's the East versus the West, right? And the Wild can say they should suspend that guy. In reality, that doesn't affect the Wild whatsoever. Like, Boston's out East, and whether they lose Frederic or he gets fined or the coach gets fined or the coach gets suspended, whatever, it doesn't affect them whatsoever. They still lose 97 for however much time.
Okay, we got to get into this. Okay. This is very emotional for me because 97 basically lit my wick for Wild hockey. This is the king of hope. I should have a candle. They should make a Kirill Kaprizov candle. I would have it in my room. So he gets hurt. And the issue I had with it, I'm not going to dissect the hit specifically. So all night long, the game plan from Boston was these guys aren't as hard as us. So let's come at them and be in their face all night long. Every face-off, the kid with the name Blythe or whatever was screwing around with Kaprizov. They were actually for a while shadowing him. So there would be a guy skating around with him on the ice constantly. Mm-hmm. And then when he does get hurt, So we got to talk about this whole exchange. So I think what people hated was the smirk on this kid's face. Apparently his name is Frederic. I don't know if he's French or if I always thought he was Trent Frederick from Madison, Wisconsin, who was a dick when he played there too. But maybe he's Frederic and he wears a beret and I don't know what his deal is, but he reminded me of the kid from Christmas Story, the redhead that would beat him up on the way to school because he was just smirking. Even when Foligno fought him, he was still in the box like, looks like I survived that one too. I mean, this was a guy, I would have been happy if we just kept fighting him over and over and over again until the end of the night, until somebody really got him. Because he just, the Kulikov thing was really interesting. So he goes in there, another Russian,
KGB,
trying to help his boy, and he just, I mean, I don't know what.
Something
like,
about frosted tips made you not think he's tough?
Well, seeing the frosted tips along the glass, his hand was up like this, like he was actually trying to tap out. Like, I don't know what was happening. And I'm like, it was awesome that he stepped in, but it like made it worse because then he got beat up afterwards. And then everyone's waiting for Foligno to just erase this kid and his smile. And I don't know, the kid's pretty good. He's big and he's strong. It'd be hard to beat him up, I think. I mean, maybe to your point, if we had real meat heavyweights, that kid gets smoked last night. But I mean, I don't know. He had a good grip, even with Marcus. It was like he couldn't really get him. He almost got him at the end when he was falling down, that last punch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I want to hear your, like,
my interpretation of the Foligno fight was I think Foligno knew the kid couldn't reach him, and Foligno was waiting, and it looked like he was waiting for his moment. And then he found it, seized it, and he got free. And Frederic was like Marcus was free. And Frederic was like, holy shit. And then he just slid into second base, grab on, slide between the legs. He's lucky he didn't take the last one as he's going down. But yeah, Marcus was going to even the score for sure. And I think though, now Boston and I think every team in the NHL, the Wild would love to have one, and the Wild actually do have one. Who is their agitator? Who's their guy in your opinion?
Was it Eck?
I think it's Ryan Hartman.
Okay, he was doing it a little bit last night.
Shows you up with his hand in your face, right? Like he'll agitate you.
He had that a little more in Chicago.
But how effective was Frederic at getting under the skin in the kitchen of not just the Wild, but every fan? So if this is a playoff series, that guy can change. Oh God, he could change a series in a moment.
He's selling T-shirts. I already looked up March 16th. I think Boston's in town.
Yeah,
like I'm so far down this road with these guys.
Yeah, and everybody hates those guys, and everybody hates that. And the story after the game is not necessarily how good the Wild played. It's how about Brad Marchand making that last hit on Nico Sturm at center ice without the puck? How about this? These guys are so dirty. They're so gross, right? That's the story, not how well the Wild played, not that they did it, right? And when you can control the narrative that way, that's why he's laughing. That's why he's smirking. But again, for me, the difference is don't give him a chance. And Marcus almost didn't give him a chance. But if like the boogeyman was out there, Frederic doesn't make that hit. I promise you.
So we won the game. I'm just going to keep saying that to myself. This is where my mind went. So right after it happens, everybody, okay, Moose is coming.
It was great, though. You knew it.
He's swiping right. I don't know if you saw Rupp's tweet when somebody said something about the Wild scored. Russo tweeted, and he said, that'll wipe the smile off Frederic's face.
Oh, yeah.
And then Mike Rupp just has the giant moose emoji coming out of the water. But then I really got dark. I go, you know what? I'm doing the chess. I'm like, they want us to fight.
Yeah.
So I go, let's maim Pasternak. Yeah, like, let's hurt one of their guys.
It's another angle.
Let's get out of town with one of their guys in the body bag with one of our guys. And there was that play where Pasta got Nico kind of hit him into the wall, and then I found it's like changes you as a person being a hockey fan, because I was like with my family, like, yes, this is now we're going to hurt one of their players. This is what we do.
This is how it
actually
works.
We're one step ahead if we injure their star instead of chasing this redheaded, bully down the street. Let's go over here and see if we can find one of these three guys in a vulnerable position. Bergeron, Marchand, or Pasta. It was exhausting. I mean, but we won the game. It's not the Boston Massacre. We won the game, and I'm proud of the boys.
Yeah, me too. But that you make a good point. That is one way to where you don't have to have a roster spot or a lineup spot held by a guy like the boogeyman. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying if you want a guy that has a different skill set than somebody like that, well, you can send somebody like Marcus out, but that's hard to do. And that guy has to make that decision for himself. No coach is ever going to be like, go settle the score with Pasternak, right? Or go get Marchand. Right?
Yeah.
No coach is ever going to say that. That guy has to. But if there is a guy in the NHL that is willing to do that, he'll make an extra couple $1 million a year, no question about it. I'll sit down for a couple. I'll take my suspension. I'll put my stick through his teeth, and the score will be settled.
And those are guys where they don't tell them what to do. They say, "Oh, shame about 97. Take a good hard shift, Ryan."
Yeah.
And you know exactly what you're going to do.
Right. Well, I had one of those. Yeah, I've had those meetings before. I walked into the coach's office and they just pressed play on a clip on the video and then pause and then play and then pause and then walked out. Like no words were said. Just that happened last game. It's
in case you know,
okay.
In case you're wondering.
You don't want to have to say, go do this.
I think he was 18. So I got to tie this in. I would like Trent Frederic to get hurt, injured, or arrested. And if he does, even though I don't really care about him, I would hope that he would call Wachtler Law, WACHTLER law.com, because even for a scumbag like Trent Frederic, he can get the help he needs from an independent lawyer that's been out there for 25 years, fiercely independent and afraid of no one. So if Trent Frederico happens to get injured, fired, what was the other one? Arrested, which is very possible based on what I saw last night.
Department of Player Safety.
The spot to go is Wachtler Law. I don't think he got suspended, best I can tell.
No, and I don't know if they hit him in the pocketbook either. But before we turn the page on Boston, I want to bring up one more thing about the beautiful babies. I think what last night illustrated to me a little bit more too is the value in good seasoning, right? Like Boldy had a little bit more time in Iowa, and they didn't rush him, and he didn't have a roster spot necessarily to start the year. Yes, he hurt his ankle. Maybe he was going to make it, but the fact of the matter is he started the year in Iowa, and he's sitting there on NHL app seeing all his peers that he played with that are playing ahead of him, scoring, maybe having some success, and he's hungry. And he thinks automatically in his mind, if these guys can do it, and that's my draft class, and I've played with these guys, and I'm better than them, and they're up there in that league doing it, I'm going to dominate this one. He becomes a better player. And then the moment he hits the NHL ice, it was not awe. I didn't see awe in him at all.
And I also didn't see fear.
Right, that's what I mean. There's no fear, there's no awe.
That was what was so impressive is late in that game, I saw a little bit on Rossi.
That's what I mean, Rossi. And he needs another year.
Like,
he needs more seasoning.
Just like, what is happening right now? Like I'm in a nightmare film and someone, if I turn my back the wrong way, they're going to put a knife in my head. I mean, that's what that game was like last night. But Boldy's just slithering away and almost like pointing at his mother, which we'll have to get to. But yeah, I think he's ready. It's a bit of the Aaron Rodgers, right? Let's let him in the crock pot a little bit longer, man up, see some things in the always hungry league, and be ready to play. Even holding them out. What are we, 25 games into the season, 30? I don't know. I mean, that makes a difference.
Yeah, it made a difference. And
let the pot simmer.
Yeah, and he was ready. And mentally, something had clicked. And I don't think you can make that note in your mind click by playing games in the NHL right out of the bat at 18 years old. Like they have to find that hunger and they have to find that confidence. And it's almost better to starve them of it versus give it to them and say, go learn, in my opinion. And I thought I saw Marco Rossi, who was good. He didn't stand out in a negative way at all, right? Like he was fine. He competed. He was good. But he didn't have the same confidence that Boldy had.
He's not flipping backhand sauce. I mean, Boldy looked pretty damn calm. He was like Troy Terry.
So Boldy's goal, first
2.0.
Before anything else, I saw him on the power play, got the puck on the half wall, really simple play, but he made it quick, play to the net, rebound, decent chance. But he didn't overthink it. He wasn't nervous. Just a simple play, crisp, good, cool. All of a sudden the puck comes out of the zone again, and he sees Brodin on the far side, and he's beaver tapping for it. Watch the replays. He wants it. He's calling for it. That's Brodin over there with the puck. Boldy's like, I want it.
Hey,
Get
Jonah.
it to me.
Hey, Jimmy.
Get it to me.
Jimmy, you see me?
Yeah, you can hear it. Get it to me.
You see me? I'm from here.
They get it to him.
How you like them apples?
He gets it to him. What does he do? He catches it on his backhand. He instantly attacks the middle of the ice. I tell you what, it was like 6 years in my NHL career before I was comfortable attacking the middle of the ice. It was like, do not turn this thing over. He wasn't thinking about what he couldn't do. He's thinking about what he could do. Attacks the middle on his backhand, finds Foligno, patient, waits for it, comes back, snaps it top stairs. Like, unbelievable goal. So much confidence. And the guy's ready. He's ready. And I think it's good seasoning, good management, good coaching.
I think anybody who spent some time at Boston College is ready for whatever the world has coming their way.
Is that because maybe you have some people close to your...
Well, I happened to go there, yeah. My daughter happened to go there, but I mean, Johnny Hockey went there, Doug Flutie, Chris O'Donnell. I mean, we're all thriving.
Yeah.
And obviously, Boldy's the next. Billy Guerin. Wow. Billy G. How did I miss Billy G? Wait, hold on.
Sorry.
It's the father and the Billy and the G and the Aaron. So can we talk? Should we do Winter Classic? You ready?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So before we officially turn the page, how about Boldy's parents? That was a cool moment too.
Just pure. That's the pure Colombian stuff, man.
Yeah.
I mean, reaction. My favorite is I think his mother goes up to the camera and goes, "Fucking
I thought I heard F-bomb
but
too.
I think the Wild, I got to ask the social person. I think they just pulled, I don't know how they did that. It's like they must have had a master of that audio and found just her. And because her voice, like her mouth is like, fuck yeah. But then there's no sound for that. I'm like, so Boldy's mom's super cool, obviously. Want to party with her. But yeah, that was so great. And what are the odds? So I talked to Barrier, the guy who shot it, and he said it was just random. Like he was just on the dad's side of his head for a second, but it wasn't like they had a camera on him the whole game.
Yeah, which is what it looked like because it was like a close-up.
I know, and he said it just happened to happen right then. It's just beautiful. Yeah, that's a great. I mean, that's like a MasterCard ad waiting to happen, or an NHL ad already cut for him.
Right.
Pure
Winter Classic. You weren't there. I want to know. I had to work. I was inside the Delta Lounge, broadcast booth next to a door, cold breezes, but I didn't have to suffer through the elements. How was it?
Oh my God, I did it. I really did it. We had a party bus, left Beartown and White Bear Lake at 2. So the whole like prep for the day before was like, what are we going to wear? My wife happens to hunt for the Winter Carnival medallion each year, so she's a pro. But boots and double layers and heaters for your pockets. I borrowed your, what do you call that? What was that, a snowmobile suit?
My ice suit.
So the fact that your ice suit fit me was kind of a moment in the house. Like I was like, yeah, basically the same size as Ryan Carter.
Can I let you in on a little secret too?
Oh no.
That's the smaller of my two ice suits. I have a bigger one too. I have an XL. That was
fit
large.
Me just fine.
Perfect.
So we're very similar. Not double X, just regular XL.
That was large. Oh,
well, even better. I'm trending down. But no, so the game, I think in some ways the anticipation was almost better than. So I did skydiving when I was in college, and I always tell people the getting in the suit and getting in an airplane with these crazy dudes, and knowing that you're not coming down in the airplane is almost better than once you jump out of the plane, it's just total chaos and you don't even know what's going on. I think that's kind of how the Winter Classic was. Like the build up, the outfits, the going to the bar beforehand, and having your gear in a garbage bag, so you didn't have to wear all the warm clothes at the bar for 3 hours, and like trying to figure out where your stuff is. And
so you put a 3-hour shift in the bar?
Yeah. We went to this basement bar. I don't even know where we were, but it was close, and it was great. Families, a lot of families. I know it's a family thing for the parents, the players, but it seemed like everybody was there with their kids. And then everyone tried to wait till the last minute to go in. So there was just this log jam. But they had a giant television set up, which was good. So you're kind of seeing what's going on. And even if you're not getting in early, people are chanting, "Let's go Wild." It was an experience. I will say it was a missed opportunity for the brand. If they had won that game, it just sears a memory into your bones. I mean, it would be almost like if you were a Viking fan going back to the 70s and watching one Purple People Eater game. It would change how you were as a Viking fan forever. And we didn't win, so you didn't get that. You didn't quite get that. I think that first goal was so important. You almost have to score first in that game, I feel like.
The Wild looked nervous right off the bat in that game. Their game was not good, and that's just the fact of the matter. They were not good. I don't think they were going to be good, and I can build in excuses all I want, and I think that the point you're making is legitimate, but I do believe it's a double-edged sword. And from the brand standpoint, you want to be able to solidify like that moment as a polarizing moment in Wild fandom and their history and moving forward, like this is the club to follow, right? Yeah, from a branding standpoint, that's fantastic. But I think in order to do that on the hockey side, you almost had to steal the experience from the players, right? You would have to say, I know this is following Christmas, but you're not allowed to be at home with your family.
Yeah.
You're going to stay in a hotel, and we're going to isolate, and we're going to quarantine, and this is going to be military-like, and we're just going to go execute our game plan and play, right? And if you do that, then nobody wants to play for your club, right? Like, and I know I'm being dramatic here, but it's a double-edged sword because what's more valuable, right? Those guys needed to enjoy themselves in that moment too. It's a big game for them, their families, their career. A lot of guys, this will be some of them that don't play in a Stanley Cup hockey game. This will be the biggest game of their life, right? And to steal that experience from them and say it's all about 2 points and building this brand, I wish they would have won for that reason, because then, yes, you get both things. But I just think that there's a cost to going all in on winning that game.
Yeah, it was just because it was so extreme. I mean, beers were freezing.
That was cool.
You would buy a beer. You would have 1/4 of it, and it would be rock solid, and you would just throw it on the ground.
Like, you know how that bar trick where you take a beer bottle and you hit the top of somebody else's and then it just foams all the way out? Like, you almost couldn't set your beer down, because if it hit the ground, just that vibration would send the bubbles up, and then it would just freeze over, just like a freezing volcano.
It was, so the thing, when the Blues walked in the Hawaiian shirts with the rolling coolers.
I have a theory on that.
I mean, that was just a checkmate. I mean, I saw that in the bar before we had gone over, and I was like,
I want to do that.
Oh my God. Like, we're dead. Like, what do you think that's like when the Wild see that? That's that's just genius. So is that Ryan O'Reilly, or is that Binnington? Or?
Well, it sounded Binnington in his post-game presser said something different, that he had
flannel shirts.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they changed it. He bought a bunch of lumberjack shirts for everybody. But then I don't know what happened. But them walking in, I think one guy honestly he's pulling a cooler.
Well, he's carrying a cooler. That was Scandella.
I mean,
and I tried to figure out what was inside there, and it looked like he had a pineapple. But Justin Falk said that maybe there's in his post-game presser a couple of pops for after the game.
I mean, that is stealing the show. But that is just so, because your point is they don't have all of this the Blues. Yeah. They're just on a road trip.
They're staying at a hotel. They're in their room. They sleep by themselves. They wake up. They have their morning meal. They have their normal routine, and they go play.
What's the record of the road team in the Winter Classic?
Way better.
For like 70%?
9-4.
Oh my God. Well, thanks for that gambling tip that you never gave me.
I did the research day of. I suppose I should have texted you, hey, what would you say? I wouldn't be, you know what? This podcast wouldn't exist. This podcast wouldn't exist if I texted you and said, hey, bet the road club. That would be terrible. I can't believe you asked for that.
I bet on Boldy to score last night. $10 to win 35. Not 100 like your buddy, but not bad.
That's pretty solid.
That's a solid bet.
That's a great bet.
Something to talk about when I meet him someday.
Yeah.
He had a Boston College mixer.
You were feeling it.
Yeah, exactly. No, so that was kind of, I think, when I saw that, I was like, we're in big trouble. And then this is a observation I had, was one of my favorite things. So the guys come out and they walk out, and then they have these personnel that take their skate guards off for them.
Yeah.
The only player that takes his own skate guards off?
97.
Every period. I didn't get it on video because my phone died because it was so cold. I'm like, this is the best. So he would reach down and just throw them both to somebody. I'm like, this is so great. He takes his own guards off.
What's the name of the medal that the Mandalorian holds? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But my point is, that's the steal in Kirill's skates. Like, only he can yield it.
Yeah, you can't touch it. So with those edges. But yeah, I did think that was a note. I shout out to Thomas Rhett's fingerless gloves, something that was pretty special when he was playing the guitar.
That was impressive.
A nice mix, stay warm, but also feel the strings. I thought that was nice. And then the guy on the screen with the 2 beers, that shotgun, apparently that's Rhodey's relative over at Strauss.
Is that right?
Maybe his kid or cousin. I'm like, that's pretty iconic. That's like you're the
Bill
bat.
Rhodey?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's like getting you're the bat boy that got his hand broken by Herbeck or something. Like that's like, remember, you ever go to the Winter Classic? Yeah, you remember the double beard guy? Yeah, that's me. I mean, that's a pretty strong effort by. He wonder if he went to Boston College.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I don't know. I mean, but
It probably did.
that was impressive.
It was good. A strong start. I was feeling good when that all was happening. And Kirill got the goal. We were tied, I think. And then it got a little lopsided. And then the third period, they just like they always do, you can't kill the Wild, man. You got to put a stake in their heart.
Right.
They kept coming.
That was cool, though. 9 minutes, empty net.
Pitlick. Do you want to see how...
Yeah, you look at those up, settle that score, but I do have a theory that I want to talk about and see your thoughts on it. So it was -7 degrees out, and the Blues come out in their Hawaiian gear.
Brilliant.
Do you know like the cryotherapy chamber is? Have you been in one of those?
The what?
The cryotherapy, or I think that's what it's called, or where you go into like up to your chin. And it's like -30 degrees in there.
Okay.
And it's supposed to help you recover like instantly.
I know what you're talking about.
So you're in there
yeah.
for like 60 seconds.
Do you really think I've been in one of these? Were you just doing that out of courtity?
I don't know. You're a big workout
think
guy.
I
Like
was
you
like-
go to you go to Lifetime for the hot tub.
okay.
What is it that big of a stretch to be like you're gonna go somewhere
Was
else?
Terrell Owens on my last guys trip?
So my point is they naturally had their own, everybody just totally hit the reset button. They all froze their ass off. They had like that same effect where everything in your body freezes. You hit warmth and then you get fresh new blood everywhere. They were the better team the first 10 minutes, no question about it. They came out high stepping.
And you're giving credit to that for the entrance?
Science.
It was genius. I'll give them that. Whether it was marketing or science, I don't know, but it was whatever player
I think
came
marketing,
up with that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying marketing, it helped, but also the science of it helped them feel better for when the game started.
All right, Mr. Wizard. Do you know anybody on the Blues?
Yeah.
Well, you find out.
I was walking out and Falk was having a Miller Lite walking down the tunnel, and he said they were spending the night.
Will you
with the
find out
family.
who came up with the beach thing?
Yeah.
I'd love to know. Okay, here's what we thought was going to happen in the Winter Classic. I believe if I lose, you get to wear my
the King El Rey.
name branded
I want the little
hoodie.
Ray.
And if I win, I get to keep this little reindeer pelt, which I forgot at the Winter Classic. Okay, you said you said Talbot was going to be the first star of the game. So I'm going to not give you that one.
Really?
No. Okay. I said Dumbo was going to do something big. No, didn't. So we got 0-0. You're going to say 97 doesn't wear extra gear outside. Now, I have a point of contention on this. He was wearing a turtleneck.
Okay.
Does he usually wear a turtleneck when he plays?
Fine.
Half point.
Every other player had like
I know. What do you call those?
Balaclava or something like that.
Baklava?
Is that how you say it?
I don't know. Hey, will you look that up, Gabe? What do you call the hoodies?
I could probably spell it, but I can't say it.
Baklava?
It's balaclava or something.
Ballard. So I think a half point because he was wearing less.
He didn't
But he
care.
still had a turtleneck
My
on.
point is the cold didn't phase him. He had a turtle. Are you kidding? He had a turtleneck. Okay, fine.
Also the type of
see the
metal
half
from
point.
the Mandalorian. Okay, 3 points for 97. I think that's correct.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 3. So you hit
That's
that one?
bold prediction, by the way.
You hit that one?
Yep. So I'm up 1-0. Bugstead,
That was me again.
I don't know. He had an assist, but I wouldn't say. So I had Pitlick. So I think I get the edge there because I had Pitlick over Bugstead.
And what did Pitlick do that was wonderful?
He scored.
From?
Bugstead.
Oh, no, I think
All
they're
right.
both half because Pitlick scored from behind the net on a centering pass and went off a stick off the side of a head. You needed, it was like a geometry class. Like that would have been a fantastic pool shot.
As it turns out, Ryan Hartman did not get the game-winning goal, which was my 4th, and then you had Boldy playing in the game. I think.
Yeah, I was 1 game late.
Ooh, I just barely edge you out
Yeah, you do. You win that one.
with a half point. So I'm going to keep the pelt for a little bit. I don't know what I'm going to use it for. Maybe I'll sit on it tonight watching.
You should fart in it and
Tom Brady.
just give it. Just every time you have to just season it. We talked about how quality seasoning matters. Just season that thing a little bit and then send it back.
I don't want to do that to you.
You kind of do, though.
Hey, did you want to talk Olympics too? Was that on your list?
Yeah, and we can get to that a little bit, but I suppose we can talk about it now.
Or injuries too. I don't know if we've even.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. Are we panic mode now? Is this panic mode? Like the Wild are hurt. Okay, so let's go through it.
I'm glad you're asking this because I tried to work my way through this today.
We talked about the Wild's 5 most valuable players, not in any specific order. It's Talbot, Spurgeon, Brodin, Ek, Kaprizov. Kaprizov.
Let me see if I can knock anybody out of there. You got Spurgeon in the top 5?
Yes.
Maybe Foligno. Maybe one of our top guys is still alive.
Okay, so now
I'm trying to have one of our guys stay alive.
Okay. I was going to say we're arguing semantics here, but point is 5 very valuable people are out, right?
Yeah.
And
so
then,
we're like the president's dead, the vice president, the speaker of the house, the house. Okay, so who are we even on to? Like the governor?
Right.
Okay, got you. Go ahead.
So banged up in that regard, and you're also without Bukestad.
Yep.
Duhane,
broken wrist.
Greenway.
COVID. Greenway's coming back.
Yeah. But for
maybe Brodin hurt bad.
Brodin is not well. We already counted him in the top 5.
Yep.
But he's out again. Yes.
Yep. X out for that 6 to 8. Maybe Kirill 6 to 8.
Yeah. And so the beautiful babies are good. But like, is it panic mode? You had lost 5 in a row. You had to do everything you absolutely could to take 2 points out of Boston. How is that sustainable? Like, are we panicking? Are you nervous? Like, this podcast was kind of built for this moment. Like, do not panic in this spot. How do you do that?
Here's how you do it. So I looked at their schedule. They got about 7 games. One of them's against Montreal at home, but it seems like the Canadian games get canceled. I think it's okay if we get a little COVID and miss some of those games. But what about Kevin Fiala, January? Just Kevin Fiala having an amazing January, helping us through this dark time. What about... completely, I think if I'm a dean, I need to keep our team uncomfortable so that they can't think about all the reasons why they shouldn't win. So maybe Beckman is in the lineup one day and then he's not. I think he did it yesterday with the lines changing a lot. Like, you're skating with these guys, now you're skating with these guys. And
some of that was 10 forward, some of that was, but this
goalie's playing from Thief River Falls that I don't even know who he is, and we should help him win his first game. I think we need a lot of like we had last night, the special occasion with the 2 rookies. We need to turn each of these 7 games in January into like a holiday. Give him a reason to win. It's this backup goalie. Do not let him be a fool. Let's help him. We're on our 3rd string goalie. Let's play our asses off in front of him. Okay. And Kevin picks him up one night. Dumba picks him up another night. We're going to need to just cobble it together. Patchwork. I think that's how you do it.
So for me, and I agree, Dean Evison has done a great job all along getting the most out of every player, and even putting players that he spots real-time live playing well in situations that they can have success. Think Pitlick in OT, or other situations where guys have just performed and delivered in big moments. He's really good at that, right? And he needs to continue to do that. And he needs to continue to have these young guys that come into the lineup feel value and be good, and until they kind of weather this storm. But this is where I'm going with this, is there's something that we can do. Like we can't control like a lot of that stuff. We can hope and think and talk about it. But the point of the podcast too is to like say like, hey, as a fan, like our job is to
break the mold.
And there's a confirmation bias, and I'm gonna read this. This is like a like something people do, and the confirmation bias. We tend to look for and be more easily convinced by information that confirms our existing beliefs. So it's one of these situations where I think we're at the precipice of a Wild fan saying, like, this is why it's so hard for me to get invested with this club, like, or Minnesota sports in general. Like, we have a good team. All of a sudden we're down 8 guys. COVID beats us up and we're out, right? So you just hear all these negative stories, and then you just help them confirm like your like belief to find comfort and safety, and not like being out there for people. And I think the Wild, and as a fan right now, you just need to not be in that trap, not listen to a broadcast and say, yeah, but we're short all these people. Yeah, but all this stuff. Like, find the good in it and be invested, and really just like these guys and see what they are and go with it. What do you think?
I agree. I'd say shame on you if you do that. After watching that game last night, anybody who watched that third period and I should have had a mouth guard in. I was grinding my teeth so bad. It was just terrible to watch. And they hung on and they won. Whether they were blocking shots, probably breaking bones in the process. You got a heap of dead bodies outside of the TD Garden, and they won the damn game. So why would we quit? Why are we going to, say, well, okay, I guess the world's against us. Our 5 best guys are gone. So I knew this was too good to be true.
Right.
I say screw all that. I mean, just if they're going to absolutely, a guy I used to coach with used to say, spill the beans. That's what he would say to the kids. Just spill the beans. Everything. Just dump it out. This is it. And that's what they did last night. And I think as fans, we should try to do the same thing. Hang in there. We're going to have to be a quilt. It's a quilt through January. Fiala's got 4 points and we beat Anaheim. And he was in a weird Zegras-Fiala contest and he won. And, Beckman came up for one game and chipped in 2 points. And the backup goalie won a game, had a shutout. Where the hell did that come from? It's going to have to be that. Even to get a 500 through these 7-8 games, that'd be worth a lot, I think.
Yeah, so these are cognitive biases that I think are built into people that you have to recognize within yourself to help break that mold. And there are some negative ones. And I think that confirmation bias that I just discussed, where you automatically think like, okay, this is why, these are the negative things that happen to Minnesota sports. And that's the mold that needs to be broken. But there are also positive cognitive biases, right?
Do tell Dr.
Availability cascade.
Oh, well, I don't even know what that means.
Me either. But no, I did some research.
This is great.
The more people believe and talk about something, the more likely we are to think it's true. So it is our job as not only a fan, but as this podcast to talk about the good and the possibilities, not the things that didn't go right, the things that will go right. And the more we think it, the more we talk it, the more we believe it, the more it will come true.
I like this. I also think you might be, am I joining a cult?
Am I building one?
I hope so. It's going to be.
I wanted to get a psychologist, but I don't know any psychologists.
This is great.
I want to guess psychologists and be like, what is happening in my mind? Teach me.
So this is a little bit Stuart Smalley. Like I'm okay. I'm a good. So like we won the game last night.
Right.
I'd like to hear you say that, Ryan.
We won the game, and I was. That's the point.
We won the game.
We left talking about Frederic and being upset by it.
You know what?
We won the game.
Hey, Frederico, did you win the hockey game last night? No.
Right.
So you can smile all you want, but we took all the points. You didn't even get some of the points for getting to overtime. You got nothing.
Availability
and you might
cascade.
Not even make the playoffs.
Availability cascade, that cognitive biases. There you go. Boom.
And you know what?
You were on the right track.
Hey, Ryan, we lost the Winter Classic, but think of that time our players got to spend with their families, strengthening those bonds. And that's the same support group that's going to help them through January and into the deep run in the playoffs.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like this. What did we call it? Cascade?
That's availability cascade.
I guess we know what the podcast is called. Did you go to Boston College?
No, I didn't. I went to the Harvard of the West.
All right, good.
Let's go. Let's wrap this up. Okay, good, man. That was our filibuster. Now the Olympics. I don't know if I like the story, if it's more romantic, if it's college players, amateurs going to play, like a ragtag group, think 1980 Olympics, or if it's the pros.
Well, I think the World Juniors getting canceled plays into this. So I think it's going to be a combo. It looks like they're going to raid Minnesota, Michigan, a bunch of stud college players mixed with these KHLers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be into it just because we got cheated out of the World Juniors. But I don't know if like Canada's going to send Bedard and Shane Wright. And I mean, are they going to put 5 blue chippers on that Olympic roster in Canada? That'd be pretty cool. And then it starts to almost be like this hybrid World Juniors, World Championships.
Yeah, and that would be great.
That's interesting to watch.
And I'm not saying that these college coaches, Mike Hastings and Larson from St. Cloud, are guys that wouldn't ordinarily be in the running to be assistant coaches in that setting. But it leads me to believe that they have an intimate knowledge of some of the players in college hockey, what they're good at, what they're not good at. And we don't have a lot of time to scout these guys. So who's good? Who can we bring? What can they bring to the table for us? Because we've got to assemble a team that can go win. I'm kind of into it right now. Like, let's bring these amateurs. You've got some cool college coaches. Maybe they bring some of these World Junior guys. And like you said, you get a solid half of these guys that are World Championship guys, half that are, like solid studs under 20 kind of thing. That'd be fun.
The college kids that are on that list, because I'm pretty I pay a lot of attention to the college hockey. They're big bodies. You know, that Matthew Nyes on the Gophers, Ben Myers. These are big, strong kids. Same with Berniers is obviously a stud from Michigan, that North Dakota defenseman. They're not, Brock Faber is a little smaller guy, but he's a total blue chipper. So they're really looking at, guys that might be in college but can handle a man's game seems to be what they're pulling together for Team USA, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I do think it'll be fun. I know how the pros play, and it might just be a couple tweaks of systems and who gets the big goal when. That could be the difference between a medal and not, even in like the playoff portion of it, the medal round, right? I'm curious about these amateurs. They won't know much about them at all, and I want to go watch and see how it works. So I'm intrigued by it. I might like the amateurs more than the pros.
I'm dialed in. Anything in red, white, and blue I can get behind. Hey, I want to finish with just something I noticed, okay? I was thinking about Kirill getting hurt, right? And he's tough. We've seen him. He's strong. He carries tires in the rain, you know, the whole deal. But he got injured last night. And I was trying to think about it. I'm like, okay, Kucherov also has gotten injured. Another Russian stud. He's been injured a few times. But then I was thinking, and Ovechkin's coming to town tomorrow. And I think part of the reason it was kind of a double blow for Kirill is he really wanted to play in that game. This guy, Ovechkin, has he ever even been hurt in his entire life?
No.
I mean,
and it's not like he plays a perimeter game.
I know. He's like Wayne Gretzky mixed with the biggest, baddest bull you could ever ride in the ring. And the guy has never, ever been like hurt?
No.
What the hell?
It'd be amazing if you could probably somehow calculate this, the number of games that he's caused injury or people to miss for injury and the games that he's actually missed, like whether it's slappers to the face. Like I've seen him just rip people's faces off with his one-timer, blow guys up because earlier in his career, he used to just absolutely run guys over, right? Like put them into the fifth row. But he doesn't get hurt, and I don't know what it is. I think he's 240. You know, he's a big guy.
But I think Kirill's pretty thick, right? But Ovechkin's made of the material that the black box is made in the airplane. I think that's his entire body.
I think you can also analyze the game a little bit. Like Ovechkin doesn't play like Kirill does. Like Kirill got hurt last night because he's pulling up in a vulnerable spot at the half wall, on the boards, 1 versus 2, trying to make a play in the middle of the ice on his backhand. That's not a play Ovi makes.
No.
You know what Ovi does there? He shoots that thing.
Yeah.
Right? Or he gets rid of the puck in the neutral zone.
He shoots it and runs over you after he shoots it.
Yeah, or he gets rid of the puck in the neutral zone because he knows he doesn't want to carry it across the blue and make the play for somebody else to shoot. He's good when he gives it early and gets it back where he can shoot it, right? So they play differently in Ovechkin. You just almost never see him in those spots. But also, like, Frederic is not hitting Ovechkin. Right?
No.
It's not happening. And Kirill will get to this point. He will get to this point where people are afraid to attack him because he will beat you. Right?
Yeah, and that's when you're
really good.
He'll get bigger and stronger too, I think.
He won't even need it. So like Connor McDavid, these guys, and Sidney Crosby, when you are so good that you make people fearful to attack you in a defensive style because you'll beat them and then they'll be exposed. It's easier to just sit back, hold your ice in the middle. You have that perimeter, but you're not getting through me. I'm not going to be aggressive because when I'm aggressive against you, I get beat. And these super talented guys have that, and Kirill eventually will get there.
It's another thing to look forward to. Just like January, we are rolling. We're right where we want to be. This is the Minnesota Wild. This is Stanley on 7th. We're here.
Till it's here.
Peace.